Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk today, and we have a monster show lined up. Tons of betting information. Marco D'Angelo off the top. He's going to look at Michigan and Rutgers, UCLA at Washington. Ralph Michaels after that. An NBA game, Atlanta and Brooklyn, and a college basketball game, Ohio State and Nebraska. Plus, of course, he has a chart. Kyle Anthony after him. 2 UFC fights, and we've never had 4 guests on a show. Today we do. Carmine Bianco is coming on at the end of the show, and he's got a story for all of you guys that he told me last night at poker, and I literally said, we are telling this story on air tomorrow. After pulling his fingers, twisting his toes, he has finally agreed. So don't go anywhere. Teddy Covers is my co-host. You're watching the best daily sports betting show on the planet, Marco D'Angelo, right off the bat. My brother, how are you?
Well, I'm glad I'm leading the show off. Following Carmine would be a hard act to follow, but we're going to go ahead and try to give you some winners here today. We got 2 college plays, and we're seeing things well, Prez.
Yes.
Well,
Teddy?
Yeah, let's start with some college basketball for tonight. Look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. Let's get the current numbers for Rutgers and Michigan. I'm seeing pretty much Rutgers -7 across the board, total sitting 137/137.5 right now. What do you want to do with the Wolverines and the Scarlet Knights, the bottom half of the Big Ten?
Well, Teddy, I know what I don't want to do with this game. I want no parts of the Michigan Wolverines. It has been an absolute nightmare of a season for them. They sit at 3-14 in the Big Ten. And, for a team that generally, is in the discussion in the Big Ten in basketball, this has been as bad as it can get. And I'm just looking for them, to mail the rest of the season, regular season in, unless they're playing a big name or they're playing a rival. And, well, what are they coming off of? Well, they're coming off playing a big name. They played Purdue in their last game, and they were a big underdog in that game, 13.5-point underdog. They played within 8 points of Purdue. So they gave a big effort in that game at home. Now they got to travel to Rutgers. And I just don't see this team picking themselves up off the mat and put together another good effort against a team in a meaningless game. And who wants to travel to Rutgers? I know I don't. But look at who they got next. I like situational spots, Teddy. And they've got Ohio State on deck. Now, granted, Ohio State's having an off year as well, but we know that there's a rivalry with these two, not like football. I'll put that out there. The rivalry is not anywhere near as intense in basketball, but it's still a much bigger game on deck than playing Rutgers right now. So I'm going to look at Rutgers at home, who's coming off an embarrassing loss at home in their last game. They got beat by Maryland. They only scored 46 points in that game. But what was Rutgers doing? They were coming off playing Purdue, one of the top teams in the country, the game before. Look for Rutgers to get the job done. Michigan struggled offensively this year, and Rutgers plays good defense, holding 6 of their last opponents to 43% or less shooting, and 4 of those 6 they held to 38% or less shooting. 2 stats for you on this one that seals the deal for me. Yes, Michigan plays with revenge, but revenging a loss versus an opponent this season, Michigan is just 2-8 against the spread. And over the last this season, after allowing 80 points or more, in which Michigan did in their last game, they're 0-10, Teddy, in the next game. Give me Rutgers tonight at home.
So there's certainly plenty of good cases to be made for betting against the Michigan Wolverines. That said, when I look at Rutgers' track record as a favorite, I'm not so excited about laying the points here. I see the Scarlet Knights with a grand total of 1 cover as a favorite since November. In regulation, they did win by 5 over Nebraska in overtime when they were -3. But literally, this team has 1 point spread cover as chalk. That would be Indiana on January 9th, dating back to November. That's a track record of failure. Are you worried at all that Rutgers just isn't the team to lay points with?
There's no question at Rutgers, you got to hold your breath when laying points with them, that's for sure. But I think the spot, in as bad as Michigan is playing, there's just only one way to go. And the beauty, Teddy, and I don't know if you look at it this way too, these teams at the end of the year that have nothing to play for, I want to look for a spot. I would rather have the home team here. In Michigan, they get that mulligan, so to speak, when everybody starts at 0-0 when the conference tournament starts, because if somebody can get hot for 4 days, they can steal a bid into the dance. Not that I'm saying Michigan's going to steal any bids, but they got something else to look forward to other than this.
Marco D'Angelo likes Rutgers -7. Teddy doesn't. Let us know what you guys think. Well, you're worried about it, Teddy. I'm not saying you like Michigan. I'm saying you don't necessarily like Rutgers.
So my job, in terms of my job on this show, when it comes to follow-up questions, is to give a little pushback. You know,
Why?
Think
Why
about the
can't
other
you-
side.
why
It
can't
doesn't
you-
mean that I like the other side. I'm not making a
Why
case.
can't you
I would
add?
not bet Michigan today either. For me, the game's a pass. Marco
Okay.
likes Rutgers.
Fine. So we get a Slack today saying, Prez, let's get some better engagement up on the YouTube channel. If ever people disagree, ask everybody, what do they think? Put it up in the comment section. So there you go. I had a moment where I was about to ask people if they agreed with Marco or Teddy, but then Teddy comes in and ixnays that entire thing. So we'll try again a little later in the show. For you guys who want to know what is on my hat, because people are asking, what else would it be? I mean, come on. Marco D, Washington -3. Where are we going in this one? And Teddy, if you like Washington, you can add, you could say, hey, I like Washington too. Have you thought about this? Did you factor in that? I don't think you necessarily have to just disagree for the sake of disagreeing. We're trying to provide betting information. People, tell us whether you think, see now, I found an engagement spot. Tell us if you think Teddy should just automatically disagree for no reason whatsoever, just to be Teddy, or maybe he could enhance Marco's pick. So Marco, Washington, -3. You like them. Tell us why.
Okay, I'm going to ask the listeners to do a poll too. Who's more annoying, Prez trying to justify himself or Teddy cross-examining?
This is the
Please
engagement
answer.
show. This is the
Please
engagement
answer.
show, everyone.
I love both of you guys. All right. In this one, we got Washington and UCLA. And Teddy, I'm coming with situations for you again. UCLA, you want to talk about sandwich spot? They're coming off playing their arch rival, USC. We know the rivalry there. It was a game. I actually was on USC, so I enjoyed cashing the ticket. But I'll tell you, I did not enjoy watching it. It was a paint dry game. These two ball clubs struggle offensively, UCLA and USC, and that's why I'm going to go ahead and take Washington in this one. Now, I realize Washington's no day at the beach either, but I'm going to play the spot here. You've got UCLA off of the Southern Cal game, and look who they got on deck. They got Washington State. Now, I know you're going to say, well, tap the brakes. Washington State, why is that a look-ahead spot? Normal years, it wouldn't be. But the two best teams in the Pac-12 are Arizona and Washington State. So on deck is a bigger game. We always talk about, and I've done a ton of shows, I know you have too, Teddy, our good buddy Dave Koken, he always used the phrase, you can lose the same game twice. And that's when a team's coming off a big game in the game before, and they come up short. A lot of times there is that hangover effect in the next game. That's what I'm looking for with UCLA here. Now, UCLA's problem this year has been simple. This team has trouble scoring. They don't have any consistency offensively. There are nights that they're just god-awful shooting the basketball. They did put together a game winning streak, but now they've lost 2 in a row. And that old bad habit has resurfaced. 3 of their last 4 games, this team has struggled to shoot the basketball, 39% or less from the field. And here's the final factor for me. Washington's going to be pumped up for this home game. And something I'm going to be looking at with these last couple games, UCLA and Southern Cal, when they're on the road, these final road games, the home teams are going to be pumped up because it's going to be the last time they get to see these teams as Pac-12 members. Now, I realize some of the teams are going along with them to the Big Ten, but in these teams' eyes, it's UCLA and it's USC that was the demise of the Pac-12. So you want to give them a little message, sending them out the door, the final games of the Pac-12 regular season. I'm taking Washington. I'm laying the points. And here's a little stat for you. Washington, following a road loss the last 3 seasons, they're 16-5 against the spread. And UCLA, after they play one of those ugly games, low-scoring games, if it's a game where the combined score was 125 or less, they're just 2-8 against the spread in their next game. Give me Washington, and I'll lay the small number with them at home.
Marco D'Angelo, I got some bad news for you. Teddy, read your Slack. The chat has spoken. They want Teddy to beat the shit out of your picks.
All right, here I go. UCLA, to say that UCLA has owned this series is something of an understatement. They've won each of the last 9 meetings. They've been able to win in Seattle repeatedly and routinely during this span. They dominated the first meeting between these two teams. You talked about how UCLA can't score and they have offensive weaknesses. Well, they shot 50% from the floor against Washington that first meeting and beat them pretty soundly, just like they did last year and the year before and the year before that. The last time Washington beat UCLA, 2019. You sure you want to lay points with the Huskies here in a series that's been this dominant the other way?
It's a situation. I'm playing the spot again, Teddy. That's always my defense to you. And more often than not, it does work for me. This is just the UCLA team that this is not your typical team. And I would say to you, and I saw those stats on that game with the 50% shooting, and they shot 42% from 3 in that game. Don't you think that there's a regression to the mean, that was an anomaly for them, the way they've played most of their games this year, and it should come back to the norm? And again, I like to be the contrarian. Doesn't UCLA, with everything you just said, really sound like a power underdog, a little too easy to grab the dog there? That's what I see. I'm taking Washington, and I'm laying it.
There you go. Marco D'Angelo, everyone. So, guys, we got an incredible promotion up today. It is a leap year day, February 29th. The man who is sleeping with my ex-wife, it's his birthday today. He's turning 13. My ex-wife is a freaking pedophile. Anyway, shout out to him. Thank you for taking her. Namaste. Leap 29. Get 29% off of anything on the website that costs $69 or more. That's a huge promo. 29% off of any package on our website that is $69 or higher. Use the promo code LEAP29. And frankly, Marco has been absolutely rolling right now. Tell us what's going on for you and why they should use Leap 29 on you, Mr. D.
Well, tonight I've got a 4% play, and my big plays have been absolutely killing it. You can get my 4% Big West game of the week. We cashed our Big 12 game of the week last night with Iowa State. And guys, I'm on a 7-2 and 25-9 run on these 4% plays. You can pick that up by itself tonight or grab a package. Now, I did have a package I was going to promote today. It's a $200 savings. Until I did the math, instead of that, if you do that Leap 29 today, you get a bigger discount. we're offering 20 or my 90-day all access for $649. But if you use the Leap 29, you get it for even less than that. And this is the time of the year I love because you're going to March Madness, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, and my favorite sport. And Teddy knows, me and him did battle about one famous baseball season where I won 25 games in a row, and I couldn't shake Teddy right on my ass the entire time at the Sports Monitor. You can pick up all the baseball plays as well. So take advantage of all of the cappers. Anything that's $69 or more, use that Leap 29 and save 29%, guys.
Phenomenal show still to come. Ralph Michaels, 2 bets and a chart. Kyle Anthony, 2 UFC bets for all of you. And Carmine will end the show with a story that I basically am forcing him to tell. Teddy covers your big game. What did bettors learn, brother?
Well, it's been, 3 weeks since the Super Bowl, maybe? Let's talk some NFL, because we have lines moving. These are from global books. All right, they're not stuff that you're going to legally bet on here in the U.S. Nonetheless, it's super interesting to talk about. And in particular, there's 2 teams I want to talk about. And 1 quarterback I want to talk about. That quarterback is Russell Wilson. Because Russell Wilson is now the favorite to be the Steelers' starting quarterback week 1, 2024. And be careful where you bet this, if you bet this. When it comes to the starting quarterback week 1, a guy pulls his hammy. Oh, no, he starts week 2. So sometimes with this kind of stuff, you need to be very aware of the wording and look for the way it's worded to be with the quarterback. Where will the quarterback sign as opposed to where will he start week 1? Nonetheless, Russell Wilson, basically chalk now to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. He hasn't been traded to Pittsburgh. He isn't a free agent. They haven't signed him yet. They've got salary cap issues, but he's the favorite to be the Steelers starting QB. Kenny Pickett behind him. Justin Fields, number 3 on that list. Any rookie QB behind that at plus 500. Then we look at the Broncos piece of the equation. And again, these are global numbers. It's more for discussion than it is for actual bets. But right now, the odds for the Broncos, Jarrett Stidham is their favorite to be the starting QB. And everything else is a long shot. J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, Jameis Winston. I've seen Michael Penix Jr., Gardner Minshew for them. Worth noting, Russell Wilson to be the Broncos starting QB week 1, plus 1,500. He ain't coming back to Denver. Interesting discussion. Something I noticed yesterday. Thought it was merited a bit of a chat on today's show. Lawrence, that's what I learned. What do you think? Where do you think Russell Wilson ends up? Who do you think the Broncos starting QB will be? Let us know in the comments below. We appreciate it.
Oh, I thought you were asking me, and my response was, don't give a shit. It's February. Teddy, yeah, I've banned myself from talking any football for a while, so I'll just listen to you and not add. So, guys, big day today, both for Teddy and I. I'll talk about me first and then Teddy. So I have a 5% play in NHL. We had one of these plays last week, and we won easily. I mean, it was as easy a bet as you could possibly make. I feel exactly the same way about tonight's play. It's a 5% NHL money line bet. I've had 9 of these bets over the last 2 years. I've won 7 of them. And my money line record in NHL this season is 27-13. So that's incredible. And this play, I absolutely love this play. I actually worked on it last night with Mr. Bianco, who will be up later on in the show. Teddy also has a 5% play going tonight, and Theodore is rolling. He's on a 5-0 run his last 2 days. Way to go, Teddy. A 19-9 run in NBA, and his big ticket plays 26-11 since 20. That can't be right. NBA, your NBA big ticket plays 26-11 over the last couple of years. So Teddy's got a 5%. I've got a 5%. If you wait till the end of the show, we will give you a promo that will save you a ton of money instead of just buying our individual 5%. But Teddy, I hope you kick some serious ass tonight, bro.
I hope so too. I've lost, the NBA 5% have been tremendous. But since the calendar turned to 2024, I've had 2 of them. One of them was as frustrating a loss as I've ever had. I'm laying 2.5 first half. We're up 8 with 45 seconds left. It's got to go 3-pointer, empty possession, 3-pointer, and that's exactly what happened. So freaking frustrating. Happens, but certainly wasn't a wrong side. And the last time I had one last week was an absolute wrong side loser. Wasn't pleased with it at all. So haven't won one yet in 2024, despite the 26-11 long-term track record. We'll see if we can get it done for the clients and I this evening. NBA on TNT. You can get that right now at WagerTalk or sportsmemo.com.
Ralph Michaels joining us. Ralph, how have you been, brother?
Doing great, guys. Good luck to both of you tonight and the entire lineup at WagerTalk with those big 5% plays.
Awesome. Ralph, before we get into your bets, I want to shout out Sean Alvarez. So my dad calls me up a week ago and says, Prez, my dad's never called me Prez in his life. He says, I'm going to Vegas and I want to go golfing. Do you know anyone who I can golf with? Because I don't want to golf alone. So I call Ralph. Ralph tells me to call Sean Alvarez. I call Sean. Sean's like, done. I'll take your dad golfing. So shout out to you, Ralph, for passing me on to Sean. Shout out to Sean for having to put up with my dad for 5 hours. You people think I'm nuts? Oh, no. No. My dad has the biggest personality you will ever see in your life. He speaks 13 languages. He doesn't shut up. He talks to strangers everywhere he goes. Sean is in for a hell of a day. Okay, Ralph, let's get into some picks for tonight. So the Atlanta-Brooklyn game, you've got a total for us. Tell us how to bet this one.
Prez and Teddy, Marco's another one on Bet On It. We talk about the injury system when a star player gets hurt. Well, that happened to Atlanta with Trae Young and his finger. He just had surgery. He's out 4 weeks. So who would have thought that the Atlanta Hawks, post-Trae Young injury, would go ahead and beat Orlando by 27 points and then beat Utah by 7 points? An amazing stretch. But part of that reason is their team stepped up and they're playing decent defense. Now, they've gone under 4 straight games. In the 2 games without Young, they held Toronto to 41.7% and Utah to 37.2%. Yes, full disclosure, Marcahan was out for Utah in that game. So it's not quite as good, but still, when you have 2 games that go under a combined 40 points, and the offense is now different without Trae Young. You look at the Nets, you want to talk about a dead under team down the stretch. The Nets on a 1-9 over-under run. The only game that went over the total in their last 10 games went over by 1 point. And it's always important to talk about the margins. If someone's 6-3 ATS, but their average covers by 2 or 3 points, there were a lot of fortunate wins to get to 6-3. Well, in Brooklyn's 9 unders, those games have gone under by 17.3 points per game, and the Brooklyn Nets have averaged under 98 points per game. When the Nets are playing a team with a losing record and they're a small favorite up to -6.5, they're 3-13 over under, and those unders again have gone under by a significant margin of 15.5 points per game. Atlanta, Brooklyn, under the total.
So when it comes to the handicap of this game, I can't argue with anything, Ralph. I really can't. I'm looking for a spot to poke back at, and it's something that makes it, from a situational standpoint for both these teams. Brooklyn's been playing under, Atlanta's playing under without Young on the floor. It makes a ton of sense. My question for you has to do with the number itself, because this number's been pounded. There were 227s out there last night. There were 225s out there last night. Now I'm seeing 222s. And when you talk about Atlanta Hawks and 222, that's as low a total I've seen for that team all year. Is there still value in the number even after this line move?
It is, Teddy, just because I think they thought they were going to get enough Atlanta overlove that they posted a number higher than it should. I'm more concerned where the number should be. And since they moved last night, we know that one or two bets at a couple of the right places, and all of a sudden everyone else moves their lines like water. You know, they're watching the screen and they move their line. So when I am handicapping in the morning, if I think the line is legitimate at that point when I'm releasing it, I'm not too worried about the openers in a unique situation like this when your star player by far is missing and they're trying to adjust where they think the line's going to be.
Ralph Michaels. Let's get moving. College basketball, Ohio State -3.5 versus Nebraska. How do we bet this game?
Well, this is really an eye test game for me. Ohio State obviously got rid of Chris Holtmann a few games ago. They beat Maryland in 2 overtimes. They thought they were turning it around. They were playing better, but they lose to Wisconsin on the road, and then they let Holtmann go. They bring in an assistant to be the interim, and all they've done is they knock off Purdue as a double-digit dog. They knock off Michigan State on the road as a double-digit dog, and they did lose to Minnesota in that stretch. But you look at the defense. The Ohio State defense has held 4 of their last 5 opponents to 44% or less. And over the 5-game stretch, they're allowing only 43%. I look at Nebraska. They're only 2-7 straight up on the road. They're 3-6 against the spread, ATS. And when I look at the preseason rankings, Ohio State was actually a better team than Nebraska. Nebraska's overachieved. Ohio State has underachieved. Now, I will say this about Nebraska. When you look at the Cornhuskers, you have to be ecstatic if you're a Cornhuskers fan since they brought Fred Hoiberg in. Remember, Hoiberg left Iowa State, where they had won 20-plus games for multiple years. Well, here's Nebraska. 7-25 first year, 7-20 in improvement the second year, 10-22 in improvement the third year, 16-16 last year, an improvement in the fifth year, and 20-8 this year, a huge improvement with an improvement every season. But when I went to the database, how about this? Nebraska's not a team that has not won 20 games since I don't know when. I didn't go back that far. And Teddy, I think you're going to like this one. When a college basketball team won their last game as a home favorite, which gave them the 20-win mark. Yes, you celebrate when you get to 20 wins when you're a college basketball favorite. And now they're a small away dog. Those teams have only gone 37.7% since 2018. So you got a team like Nebraska that has averaged 11 wins per year the last 4. They got to 20 wins last home game. They celebrated. Now they're going on the road against a very improved Ohio State team. I think the Buckeyes continue their run.
So Ohio State's made me money. They made me good. I had Ohio State against Purdue when they won that game. I had Ohio State against Michigan State when they won that game. I did not lay with Ohio State tonight for 2 reasons. One, I don't know they're a team I want to be laying points with, particularly laying more than a field goal with. 2, Nebraska needs basically 1 road win to cement a pretty rare NCAA tournament bid. From a motivational standpoint, it kind of stood out that this is the game that Nebraska is trying to get. A team that doesn't get at-large bids, a team that's on the verge of clinching a bid right now. They win tonight, they're probably in. Does that extra motivation for the Huskers concern you here?
Teddy, I'm going to turn around it to you. This is a team that's not used to winning on the road. So having that extra pressure to try to get a road win to go to the NCAA, I call that pressure on a team. And this is a team that's not used to winning on the road. So I think it's more a negative than a positive for me. But I will say this, the reason it wasn't a late phone or a client release for me was because Jamison Battle missed last game, even though they beat Michigan State. Battle started each of the first 27 games, and he is questionable for tonight. So I don't want to lay them with a favorite without a potential starter being out.
Ralph Michaels, let's get straight into your chart. It's about NHL. Talk to us.
Well, guys, I normally come up with a better chart. Full disclosure, the site I use all the time, Killer Sports, was down last night, down this morning. It just came back up. So this chart is 1 day old. I did this for Puck Time yesterday. It's basically this. It is year-to-date NHL teams profit-wise. The left-hand side, year-to-date, the colored ranks you see are their profit year-to-date. On the right-hand side, you see the rank since the All-Star break. So I think the team has played, February, beginning of February. So you see the Rangers are the number one most profitable team since the All-Star break. The Red Wings are number 2. The Predators are number 3. And how many NHL fans are surprised that the Boston Bruins are number 32 in NHL profit since the All-Star break, only going 3-8 with an average line of minus 157.8. So you guys see the chart there. I will post it on Twitter so you can take a little more look. But again, the All-Star break sometimes hurts those teams that have momentum and stops the momentum. Sometimes it could be a reset. This chart just helps you to know where your favorite NHL team is.
Excuse me. Let me try that again. Leap29 is the promo code to take advantage of today's special offer because it's February 29th. Take 29% off any package priced at $69 or more. Weeks, months, seasons. Today's the day to load up. 29% off. Leap29. Ralph, if someone wants to take advantage of that offer for one of your packages, what would you tell them?
Well, number one at WagerTalk over the last 3 days, and you guys want to talk why we have no hair or very little hair. I'm on an 8-1 run the last 3.5 days, and the one loss was my 5% last night. So it shows you the power of having an all-access package and not trying to cherry pick those top plays. So, that is what it is. So I will mention this. I think the 149 for me, the 149 rest of college basketball package is more attractive. In WagerTalk over the last 3 years, I figured I finished number 1 in March, 2 of the last 3 years. And a quick note, Sean Alvarez is now selling his horse racing picks at WagerTalk. The guy is an astute handicapper.
Yep.
And Prez, your dad is going to have a blast. Sean Alvarez, when he was a golf coach in San Diego, he taught Bodie Baffert how to golf. So the Bafferts were members of his country club, and he taught Bodie how to golf. So your dad is in for a treat.
Do you think Bob Baffert juiced his son?
I don't know. Sean will have to share that story with your dad. I haven't been privy to that information.
I bet you he did. He's like, my son, take some injections. Later, Ralph Michaels, Teddy, why don't you golf with Sean and my dad?
I don't golf.
So? My dad's 80. How good could he be?
This is a true story. Last time I golfed was probably 1992 or something. All right. I shot 100 and it was a $120 I shot. I didn't count my swings and misses, and that was on the front 9.
Please do not golf with Sean and my dad. Okay?
Yeah.
It's time for your big game breakdown.
I think most of them are ground balls. I think I might have got the ball up twice on the first 9 holes. It's not.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay.
I never took a golf lesson. I don't know anything from golf. Golf is your gig, not mine.
Okay. Big game breakdown. That's your gig. Let's go.
That is my gig. Big game breakdown. Let me pull up the WagerTalk live odds screen and take a look at the current numbers for the Golden State Warriors at the New York Knicks right now. Warriors minus 4.5 point road favorite. Total sitting 222.5. Both teams off yesterday. Both teams off very disparate results. Right, the Knicks got hammered at home by New Orleans on Tuesday, and the Warriors won by double digits very comfortably against Washington. Those 2 current games, most recent games, are very typical of what we've seen from these teams in recent weeks. In January, the Knicks played as well as any team in the NBA. In February, this team's a bottom feeder right now. They're without O.J. Anunoby and Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson. Isaiah Hartenstein is expected to play tonight, We don't know if we're going to see Jalen Brunson. He's very questionable if he's going to play. He'll be less than 100%. And again, the defense hasn't been there for the Knicks without 3 or 4 starters every night. The offense hasn't been there. And the only teams they're beating right now are teams that are struggling. Lottery squad teams. Golden State's not a lottery team. All right. We're talking about a team that's finding their way right now. Again, a month ago, look at the Warriors and go, this team's in a world of hurt. Well, now they got Chris Paul back. Sure, they're missing Wiggins tonight, and that is a concern in this point spread range. But Paul's back. They're clicking on the road. They've won, I think, the last 5 or 6 on the highway. And they're the better of these two teams right now. You have to lay a little bit of price, -4.5. But that's the only way I would look for this one. If I'm playing, I'm laying. Give me the Warriors over the Knicks at Madison Square Garden on Thursday night. There's your big game breakdown. And again, don't forget to take advantage of that special promo today, Leap 29. Any package priced at $69 or higher, you get it with 29% off. You can get my 5% big ticket or any of the plays or packages at WagerTalk and sportsmemo.com. So take advantage. Golden State minus. There you go, Prez. Back to you, my friend.
Teddy, still lots to go. 2 more guests, Kyle Anthony and Carmine Bianco. We will run the show a little late. I got to tape the penalty box segment after. Let's bring in the incredibly cool Kyle Anthony. Kyle, do you have your razor on 2 forever? It's never shorter. It's never longer.
What about yours? What about yours?
Mine changes at least. Yours is permanently the exact same length.
I think that's a problem when it gets a little dicey and changes. I'm trying to keep this look. I'm trying to keep it, man. I'll teach you some things.
Oh, Kyle, you are just so kind. So kind. You got to stay around for Carm's story, dude. I think you'll get a kick out of it. Brother, no follow-up questions for you. You don't need our help. Just go.
All right. So we have in the main event this weekend, we've got Shamil Gaziev versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik here. You've got Gaziev, 12-0. Power puncher, does have some wrestling. And then the other side, you've got Jairzinho Rozenstruik, powerful kickboxer, as well as a good counter striker. Now, when you're looking at this fight here, it does a little bit when you first look play into what Gaziev does well. And he looks to bulldoze forward. He's going to be overly aggressive. He's going to cut distance. He's going to believe in his power early. And that's what he's going to look to do. And Jairzinho on the other side, there has been problems where he wants space. He wants to create a little space, utilize some of the kickboxing, and really move from there. And at times, he can be not just looking for space, but low volume, maybe a little too patient, and that can cause problems if Gaziev is going to push forward and going to look to throw those big shots. But if you look at Gaziev as a whole, he's got a lot of red flags to him. And I think the first thing here is guy's 12-0. But if you look at it, 2 fights ago, he fought on Dana White's Contender Series, beat some bum there. Then he fought Martin Boudet, who is not good, a sloppy heavyweight, ends up finishing him. And Martin Boudet fought life and death against Jay Collier, who's really a journeyman fighter. So kind of weird situation there. But you look at it here, now you've got the red flags that are on Gaziev. And the first thing is going to be he has terrible striking defense. Not very good, leaves his hands low, his sloppy combinations. So a lot of his combinations from his hip, leaves himself wide open for counters. And Rozenstruik is by far the better overall striker. He's going to have that counter striking ability. He's going to mix it up a lot better than Gaziev. And then you also added in that he's got terrible cardio. Gaziev can't really go too far in fights. He hasn't needed to, but when you've seen anything extended in a fight, he does not look that good. He looks slow. Everything's getting sloppy. And this is now going to be his first 5-round fight. He's only been to the second round 3 times in his entire career. So I think this is a spot where Rozenstruik, there's going to be some sweatiness early in that fight where Gaziev's going to be firing forward. But I like Rozenstruik here. I think this line is off. I actually think the wrong guy is clearly favored here. I think that it should be flipped. And also, lastly, if you look at it, Rozenstruik has only lost to top guys. Losing to Cyril Gane, Curtis Blades, Jailton Almeida, Francis Ngannou. And while that was going on, Gaziev was fighting at Pro FC and Brave CF. I think this is way off here. I like Rozenstruik. Plus money is good. I think Rozenstruik plus 140 is a nice spot.
Jairzinho Rosenstruck at the plus price in the main event on Saturday night, UFC Fight Night here in Las Vegas. Let's talk about the fight line just underneath that. So I don't know if it's I wouldn't know if we call it the undercard, the second main event, whatever it is. But once again, we're looking at a potential plus price winner here between Vitor Petrino and Tyson Pedro. Tell us why you like Pedro at the big plus price.
Yeah, so here you've got Vitor Petrino here, undefeated, another undefeated fighter, 10-0, big power, strong, a lot of great things. Tyson Pedro on the other side here, this guy's well-rounded, solid jiu-jitsu. But the thing here is there's no doubt. Petrino has advantages. Obviously, that's why this line is where it is. He's going to have the strength advantage. He's probably going to have the power punching advantage. And then he's also going to have the physicality advantage. Those are some big things. There's no doubt. He's going to crash the pocket. He's going to move forward, throwing big bombs. It's worked out for him, up to this point, knocking out Rodolfo Bellato, knocking out who was the other one? Whoever the hell it was. Another guy, and they look good in those spots. But when you're actually looking at, how he's done it, it's definitely been successful using power, using strength, using those things. And that's great. And that's really great. Power slams, explosive fighter. But on the other side here, you've got Tyson Pedro, who 10-4 in his career, all 10 wins come in the first round, which obviously that's a little bit crazy. But when you're looking at it also is that he's 3-1 over his last 4. Not fighting the best guys, but I think that there's so much recency bias in his loss against Modestas Bukauskas, which was 2 fights ago. He looked terrible. It was a fight where probably, Tyson should have looked a lot better. He loses that decision, while on the other side, Petrino knocked out Modestas. And I think that recency bias, that kind of looking at it, has really pushed this line wider. And the thing that I think that there's multiple issues for Petrino, and the first thing is, yes, he's got the power, but so does Tyson Pedro. He absolutely has the power to knock guys out. Also add in the fact he's the better striker. He's going to have cleaner technical striking, better on the outside, better footwork, all those things. Even when Petrino throws these wild hooks, I think it's opportunity for Pedro to dictate the pace. And then also the fact that, Petrino has added in some wrestling, and I think that can help him here. But again, people forget that actually that, Tyson Pedro is a grappler. He is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. If Petrino's diving at legs, I think that opens up submission opportunities also for Pedro. So again, I think this is way off. This line is very, very wide. Absolutely, Petrino could put Tyson Pedro's head into the bleachers, but I think that there is a spot here that it makes sense. Lines wide. I think a dog or pass spot. I like Tyson Pedro plus 250 in this spot here.
There we go. Kyle Anthony, outstanding stuff. What do you got to promote?
All right, so we're running hot here, 5-0 on the last 5 UFC events, have cashed them all, picking up 7 units last weekend, had about 5 the weekend before. We're really looking good. Out of the last 16 events, we've cashed 12 of them, so really seeing the board well. Right now, I've got a 4% play up with 2 other plus money plays. Again, always looking for that plus money. Probably going to add another 1 or 2 in there. Also, I do have UFC 299, 5% play. I've released it early. Love this spot. Want to get it before any kind of line movement happens. So it's worth to check it out. And let's get it done again.
There we go. Kyle Anthony, thank you for joining us, brother. Teddy, so we've still got Carmine Bianco coming up, and we've got the daily presidential address. I have 2 hockey bets that I'm making that I will give out. We are at 100 likes, so thank you to everyone for doing that. Dan, I don't know if you need a moment between guests, but is Carmine ready? There we go. Okay, so let me set this up, everyone. Last night I played poker with Carm. We played a cash game. He did really, really well. He actually ended the night looking at me going, I can't believe I won a cash game. Way to go, Carm. It was a struggle for about the first 4 hours for him, and then he kicked ass at the end. But he did tell me a story that I thought we should tell on air, and yes, it comes with a promo code. Not only does it come with a promo code, but this promo code is available only for today and for Carmine or Teddy or me. Carmine Bianco joining us. How are you, bro? Well played last night.
I didn't struggle for 4
You're
hours.
muted.
But man, you are
Wait.
such a.
I'm such a dick.
No, I'm not muted.
Yeah. What were you about to
You're
call
such
me?
a dork.
Dork.
You're a dork for but for making me come on and tell the story. But listen, if you can't, kind of like what Tiger Woods says, if you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at? And I'm definitely looking forward to Teddy's follow-up question on this one, because it would have to be a doozy of a question. So this is the story I told at the table with these guys. They're a great bunch of guys. We're playing poker. So I tell a story, and I wake up pretty much every single night with migraines. It's from a brain injury I suffered back in 2015, where I damaged the white matter part of my brain. That's the bad part of the story. Here's the funny part of the story. So I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I have a bad migraine. And we have Advil bottles. So what I do is, and I fell into my own trap of, I don't throw things away. So I reuse the Advil bottles, and I had one of them that I had crushed or snapped a bunch of Viagra in. So I went to grab a couple of these Advils and accidentally grabbed a couple of Viagras, gulped down some water, lay down, go back to sleep. My wife's asleep. She's under the weather. And about 40 minutes later, I'm like, this headache isn't going away. It's actually gotten worse. And there's movement down below. Literally, I realized at this point I had taken the wrong medication. And what do you do at this point? I'm not going to wake her up. So I closed the door. I head into the living room. And I Google how to get rid of this. And it's like meditation, cold shower. Do not take a cold shower. It does not work. A cold shower does not work. It actually will enhance it. So there's switching positions. Switching positions doesn't work. So I lay down on the couch. I turn on TV, and I grab a box of Kleenex, and I start to watch Beaches. Yes, Bette Midler, Beaches, Lawrence. I was watching Beaches because, you are the wind beneath my wings. So a few hours later, all was gone, and I was feeling that much better. But it's a dicey thing, Lawrence, because if you're on your own, you watch it out, because you can get epididymal hypertension. Do you know what that is?
No.
It is blue balls. Blue balls. So you have to avoid it if you're on your own. But that is what I did. Showing a little bit of humility on Thursday's Wager Talk Today with you guys. Teddy, you have a follow-up for me?
Oh, I do. So you're telling us that you just whacked to Bette Midler, right? Is that what this story just said? That you were so because that sounded like what it said. Is that what actually happened? You were whacking it to Bette Midler?
It's pretty much. I'm like, what is going to bring my mood down, and pretty much everything else down? And it's like I can't watch any of these action things like John Wick. 1, 2, 3, 4,
you're not going to
whatever,
whack
or
to John
Rocky.
Wick.
You just have
I would
to,
think there might be a
No, I'm
different
not going
choice
to.
if you're going to whack,
No.
other than Bette Midler. But I guess that's where you go.
Yeah.
So
Next day,
that is where we went.
Like, wouldn't that be your first? Like, my first thought would be, all right, let's go jerk off. Not okay, let's go take a cold shower. Wouldn't that your first thought? Like, all right, I got to get rid of this thing. Let's just whack.
I wasn't. Listen. I did what I always do. I Google stuff. According to WebMD, I have like numerous
You
different
Google
ailments.
stuff.
But
You're sitting there with
that's
the raging
web-
heart on. You're Googling what to do with it. You're sitting there literally. It's up to your chin. You're sitting there going, let's Google now.
Yeah, it is.
Carm.
Listen, I thought the first thing that came to my head was the cold shower thing, but it's like, I get it, Teddy. But I didn't want it to obviously make noise in the house and stuff. So I just flicked on TV. I'm like, let me see what I can find, and there it was. So and there it went. So that was pretty much it.
Teddy's got more.
No.
Go.
That's the end of it for me. I can't go any further. But thank you for sharing your story, Carm. I appreciate you very much.
It takes guts. I mean, it takes guts to get on here and discuss that. But we thought it would be a good public announcement for everybody to make sure they don't mix up their medication. And not only did he take one Viagra pill, he took 2. And as a result, we have a promo to give out. So, as we discussed, Teddy has a 5% play tonight, $35. I have a 5% play tonight, $35. Karma's a bunch going as well, $29. You can use the promo code. Are you ready? Viagra $69. That's Viagra 69. And let me tell you guys, this is about as good an offer as we've ever given out. $69 for 7 days, all access to either me, Teddy, or Carm. And I suggest you use it on Carm, as he was the one that gave that story out. But instead of paying $35 for Teddy's 5% or my 5%, you can pay $69 and get a whole week. Carmine, unbelievable that you got on here and you had the guts to tell that story. I love you. Incredible. Don't do it again, and definitely don't call me if you do. Thank you, Carm.
Yep. Will do. Thanks, guys, for having me on.
Okay.
Cheers.
Brilliant. Oh, Teddy, Carm should be wearing this hat. I mean, he's the freaking GOAT, not me. That's for sure. I've never done Viagra. I've never done it. A lot of my friends have. I haven't. I don't think you have either, right?
I got a sample pack from the doctor one time, and I think I took one of them. I haven't needed to. So far, so good. Knock on wood. Maybe we'll get there. But the cap, I swear it looks like whatever it is on top, it looks like it's taking a crap or blowing up, or the actual the logo up here is not doesn't translate well to camera. All that being said, take advantage of the special offers. Thank you for watching Wager Talk today.
We got
Lawrence
a daily
and I'll be
press
back again tomorrow.
Daily presidential address. Yeah, dude,
Oh
we
my
got
God,
123 likes. I got to give them what they want.
Thing. Go.
Okay, well, time for your daily presidential address, everybody. And I got 2 NHL bets. I love both these bets tonight. I'm personally making them. And when I say that, I mean it. It's true. I want to give out a promo code that only exists today. It is Viagra 69. If you guys are watching this on Twitter and you didn't hear Carmine's Viagra story, please head over to Wager Talk today. Check it out. It's at the end of the show around the 12:50 mark, and it's brilliant. Viagra 69, $69 for all access pass for me or Teddy or Carm, and Teddy has a 5% play up in NBA tonight. Okay, so I got my 5%. Teddy's got his 5%. You got your promo code. Let's get into the bets. New York Islanders and the Detroit Red Wings are playing tonight. I like the over in this game. Both these teams are playing to the over all year long. New York Islanders are really struggling to keep the puck out of the net. They had a good game last game, holding Dallas to 2, but they're averaging allowing 4 goals a game in their last 5. And well, that is not good if you're playing the Wings, because this Wings team can score. They just put up an 8-pack on Washington. Take the over. I also like Anaheim and San Jose over the total as well. I think Anaheim can get close to that number themselves. So there you go. That's it for the show. Lots of love, everyone. Teddy, now you can take us home.
Enjoy the games. Best of luck with your wagers. We'll be back again with another edition of Wager Talk today, tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific time.